You're listening to the Multiverse Fan Cast, proud member of the Misfit Faction Media Network.
All right, then. On with the show.
Hello and welcome back to the Multiverse Fan Cast. We're glad you are here. Thanks for listening to us. Don't forget, you can also take us on the go with Podbeam, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcast, or any other of the wide variety of listening stations. And you can also check out our content on our website, themisfitfaction.com, where you can download our shows. You can read reviews from yours truly, with one coming up very shortly on Hawkeye. And you can engage with us directly or indirectly by sending us feedback or reading our material. As always, I am Rob, and I'm hosting today. Woohoo! And on my left is Paul. Paul, what kind of energy do you bring to the show today?
Mild regret. Mild regret. But anyway, I'm doing well, Rob. Thank you. And really excited to see what kind of show you have in store for us.
They gave me the topic last night, and I'm like, I think I got this. And as always, next to my Paul is always my Ron. How is my Ron today?
It's AA Ron, actually.
AA Ron.
I'm doing quite swell. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Ronnie, guys, thanks for giving me the reins today. I appreciate that a lot.
Hopefully we don't have to pull them back.
All right.
Also, there will be no editing on this episode, so good luck.
Oh, good. We won't edit and post. So before we get started, let's briefly introduce today's topic in light of Hawkeye, where we have a great superhero team-up of Hawkeye and Kate Bishop. We thought it would be fun to talk about teamwork. So this episode is all about superhero teamwork, where we're going to discuss what are some of the best teams, what are some of the best hookups, what are some of the best team-ups. Ronnie, something funny about when I said hookups?
I don't know. Ask Paul. He was the one that giggled.
I'm just watching the bars on the computer screen.
Sure. So before we get into that, though, Ronnie's got some news for us. Ronnie, what'd you find?
Really nothing. There are a couple things. We had the principal photography wrapped up on Ant-Man and the Wasp during this past week.
Oh, I hope we get a trailer for Spider-Man then. Like during it, like Spider-Man No Way Home, I hope they release the trailer.
Oh, a trailer for Ant-Man? Oh, that would make sense.
It'd be tough, but they could.
I think, though, probably the next trailer we're looking at is Doctor Strange.
I was going to say, it's probably cutting it close, because you have...
Is Doctor Strange now in March?
3 weeks.
3 weeks until Spider-Man, so they got to get a trailer done in 3.
Yeah, but don't
possible.
forget, the Batman trailer came out in the middle of filming.
Yeah, true.
So it's possible
It
where
is
they
possible.
could take footage. But I think before we get that, we'll probably see a Doctor Strange trailer. Because when is that March, or did it get pushed back?
I got pushed back to May.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Maybe.
I think you're right.
Everything got pushed back.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Huh?
All right, so we'll get to see maybe Bill Murray soon.
Yeah.
They won't put him in any of the trailers.
No. But speaking of trailers, we got a DC trailer for League of Super Pets.
Oh, I'm not excited.
I gotta say, initially I was really excited, and then I saw the trailer.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
I saw the trailer.
I saw it, and
It's
not that I'm excited for it,
Yeah.
but I'm curious about it.
Whence does your curiosity stem?
He
Just
likes Kevin Hart.
That is one of the things, but
I will say that's a draw for me.
yeah. But also, like, I don't know, just to see what they can do with the League of Super Pets. You know,
I was surprised to see so many superheroes in it. I thought it was going to
Yeah.
be just pets.
I'm actually fine with it, and I think it's funnier. And watching Crypto try and wake up Superman was just a little bit of a fun thing.
you know what it is, right?
What?
It's Life of Pets, but with superheroes.
You know what? You just nailed as to why I got turned off from it, because I hated that movie. I hated Sing. I hate that whole, because it's very formulaic and it's very like super jokey, and I just can't stand it. So you've just figured out for me why I'm not looking forward to it now.
Yeah, so I pretty much that's what it's going to be. It's going to be Life of
Secret
Pets
Life of
mixed
Pets.
with, superheroes, essentially.
Yeah, I'm not about it.
What else you got?
We had, you mentioned it a little bit earlier of why we're doing the episode, or one of the reasons why, is Hawkeye premiered. It had its first 2 episodes drop just a couple of days ago.
Non-spoiler thoughts?
I've only watched the first episode because I didn't want to get in trouble. I watched it, then went, oh no, my fiance is going to get mad at me for watching it without her.
You watched the first episode without her?
Thank God she doesn't listen to the
I was
show.
going to say, good thing she doesn't listen.
So are you going to just lie now?
Yeah. I'm gonna be like, hey, later I'm going to be like, hey, Hawkeye came out. You want to watch it?
It looks good, you know?
Right? I just got to make sure it's not on my continue to watch list.
So Sean and I, you got to watch it under her profile.
Roddy, you are now ready to watch episode 2.
That's so weird.
What does that mean? It must be a glitch.
Somebody wants to use my account.
Sean and I watched No Time to Die from Cinematic Adventures last night, so we can record our new episode on James Bond. And there's a great scene where Q's been helping Bond, and Q walks into the office where like the boss is, and Bond's there. He's like, oh my God, Bond, you're alive. I didn't even know you were here. And it's like the worst acting ever on purpose. And that's all I can see. Ronnie's just sitting there go, I think there's something wrong with Disney Plus.
It's telling me to watch the next episode. I didn't watch the first episode.
You ready?
I don't even know the name of the show.
Here's something, though, that Rob probably didn't find for news. Slacking already. Speaking of streaming and streaming services that are having some technical issues, apparently HBO Max has accidentally uploaded an edited version of Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
The Emancipation of One, or the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn.
Unedited?
No, an edited version. The made-for-TV version was accidentally uploaded to their servers.
Why does that even exist?
Because TNT recently started the broadcast of it. And the prevailing theory is that when they uploaded it to... Because now it's all digital, it's all online.
Right.
When they uploaded it to TNT servers, they accidentally crossed it with HBO Max's servers. And now... So here's the story of how I found this out. It was on the other night, and producer Melanie and I were watching it, and I was like, I really do enjoy this movie, but it's really hard to watch edited because just the stuff with Black Mask alone is it's just so distracting.
Yeah.
When it's basically just, it's almost like watching a Godzilla film, where it's like they're talking, but the words don't go with it at all.
He's such a mother flipper.
I love it. But
Mr. Falcon.
Yeah, they weren't even that close. So I was like, you know what? It's on HBO Max. Let's just put it on HBO Max because we're engaged. We're into it. We're watching it.
No, you're married.
Yeah, I hate
You're not engaged.
I hate you so much. But so we put it on, and first it comes up with a warning like this has been edited for content, and we're like, that's weird.
It is.
And we start watching it, and it's the same version, and we're like, what is going on with this? So apparently that's been happening everywhere, and that's the prevailing theory. They actually haven't released a statement as to why it's happening right now.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
But the only time that worked out well for me was when Amazon Prime accidentally uploaded the unrated version of RoboCop, which never existed before. Yes. And that was holy cow, is it violent?
I love it.
But back to Hawkeye. Any for you two, gentlemen? Because like I said, I only saw the first episode, which I really
both?
enjoyed.
I've seen both.
Okay, yeah, me too.
Non-spoiler things
I'll
that you want to talk
first.
about?
So far, it's been very enjoyable. I've enjoyed the idea of it. I like seeing Hawkeye kind of get his time to shine.
Yeah.
And he's very good in it. And
Yes. I love Jeremy Renner.
I love Jeremy Renner too. Unfortunately, Jeremy Renner, they keep trying to hand him franchises and nothing happens. They tried to give him Mission Impossible. They tried to give him Bourne. And then obviously he was in Avengers, but it wasn't until Age of Ultron that they kind of tried to flesh him out a little bit because he was very vocal with how much he did not like his role in Avengers.
Yeah.
He was like, I was mind controlled the whole time. I didn't get to play Hawkeye. Yeah. So I think this show has done a much better job kind of conveying not only his level of uncomfortability with everything, like, they not a spoiler, but like they buy him free dinner at the restaurant and he's very uncomfortable and like he's like he doesn't consider himself a superhero.
Yeah.
So it's been an interesting because he's still technically a spy and he wants to stay out of the spotlight, especially with his family now that he's retired. So it's been a fun start, and I'm looking forward to more.
What about you, Rob?
More Pizza Dog.
Pizza Dog. Lucky the Pizza Dog. I like it. I'll go on record by saying that. I think Jeremy Renner works best when he has a foil, someone to work off of. And with Haley Steinfeld, I think they've got a good chemistry going with one another. Even him and his kids work out really well. I think the jury's still out on a couple things for me. Like, for example, some of the fight scenes are a little like strangely edited.
The overhead shot.
Yeah. And in fact, there are moments where I feel like they're not moving fast enough, but I feel like they're dwelling on things too much at the same time. Like, I think let's go on with this, but then, I think there's too few things going on. I think there should be more. So I'm hoping that develops more in episode 3. But I do like it. I'm very much into it, and I'm very much looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Yeah, me too.
And that wraps up the news.
Well, we do have one more piece, unless you got something over there, Ronnie.
No, that was it.
So one last piece of news for you guys.
Surprise.
Yeah. Well, you've been involved. We have our brand new podcast dropping this coming week. So this episode is being released on a Monday. Brand new podcast called MF Uncensored being released every Wednesday. It's going to be a mix of topical and interview-based podcasting. One episode, each week, one episode will be just a conversational piece. The host will pick a topic. We'll each bring maybe a separate topic and just kind of chat and see how things are going with everybody.
And
really,
it's not necessarily around comics and superheroes either.
Correct.
It's sort of
life.
What's on our minds,
Yeah.
and our interviewees aren't necessarily linked into the business either. They're sort of a wide swath of individuals from across the globe.
To give just a little backstory, we did connect with a podcast promoter who does great work. His name's Steve Joyner. So if you guys are podcasters listening, he's I highly recommend ish. So he's connected us with a lot of different people, but we found that they didn't all fit into our niche. Multiverse Fan Cast and Cinematic Adventures were not interview-based podcasts, so we decided to create a brand new show where it is completely uncensored. So just be aware, if you guys want to participate or learn more about MF Uncensored, it is not
Uncensored.
It's uncensored, basically.
NSFW.
Yeah, so it's going to have adult topics, adult language, and one of our episodes is that we just did. Producer Melanie and I interviewed an author by the name of Neil Getzlow. He talks a lot about his addiction problems and blackmail, and it's a great episode, and we had a lot of fun. Well, not a lot of fun, but
Really engaged with the topic.
very engaged with the topic. And so be on the lookout for that. It's going to pop up on our Misfit Faction Facebook page. And also, big shout out to producer Ronnie. You got producer status today. We have added 2 brand new
Get a bump
pages.
and pay for that?
Yeah. He gets
Damn
3.
it.
He gets 3 compliments an episode.
Yeah, I get web developer.
You get web developer, Ronnie. If you guys check out our website, themisfitfaction.com, you're going to find 2 brand new pages on there. One is a contact us page where if you guys have thoughts or comments, or if you would like to be interviewed on MF Uncensored, you can actually reach out to us directly through our website. Thank you. We also have our friends and affiliates page up and running. So you'll find people on there that have been on the show, like our friend Blind Bat, Jackie's fitness page, Neil Getzlow's book. So
Producer Melanie's Instagram.
Producer Melanie's Instagram. So if you guys are on our website and you see 2 brand new pages, feel free to engage with them, share them, and we are looking for people to interview. So if you have a unique topic or a unique story or something along those lines and you would like to be interviewed, just let us know. We will do our best work. We are surprisingly booked up until already January. So we would love to get in touch with some of you guys and have you guys on.
Very good. All right. Just come hang out, and we'll see you after a quick break.
Today's episode is brought to you by Ray's Energy Drinks from Rep Sports. Whether you're trying to crush your afternoon workout or just need a little extra pick-me-up, Ray's Energy is just the boost that you're going to need. So if you go to repsports.com and any product that you order, enter the code MISFIT89 at checkout to receive 15% off. Anything that you guys buy from that store helps our network grow, and we fully appreciate everything you guys do. That's MISFIT89 at checkout, repsports.com.
Welcome back. We're back with the Multiverse Fan Cast, and today we are talking about team-ups and teams and hookups.
Paul.
But before that, let's talk about our last week's episode and give that a little bit of a plug, because we are very proud of what we did. We did a Sinister Six, a villain. Paul, why don't you tell us all about that one?
So last week we wanted to do something different character study-wise, because usually when we do a character study, it is based on one character, Spider-Man, Batman, Captain America, etc., and kind of their appearances in different forms of media, not so much the comic books, but more TV, movies, a little brief history, and kind of some theories and thoughts. And then we also wanted to talk about the biggest thing that's come out is the new Spider-Man trailer for No Way Home had dropped literally maybe 3 days prior, and the Sinister Six were a big part of it and a big part of the speculation. So
Well, Sinister Five.
Sinister
Yeah.
Five.
Actually, on the way over here, I was watching a YouTube video and a commercial came up for Spider Monday when they're selling it, and Jamie Foxx was actively in the promotional. So I was like, wow, they're really putting this out there.
They are really putting it. Apparently, there's also a new shot of Jamie Foxx wearing an arc reactor too. And we do see Doc Ock. The biggest theory, Doc Ock with the Stark Tech tentacles.
Yeah.
The big theory is that these Sinister Six characters are actually time variants.
Ooh.
As introduced in Loki.
So I'll let you keep going with it in a second, but I will tell you, for me and my household and even my classroom, I have called a complete Spider-Man blackout up until December 17th, that we are not allowed to watch any more trailers. You're not allowed to watch any more commercials, even if they come up with something new. Because I have to say, we got into such a loop, especially in my classroom, of watching and rewatching so much of the Spider-Man stuff that it was like, oh, this one has a new shot or a new line of dialogue. And what's going to end up happening then is I end up watching the movie, looking for those moments from the trailers, and I just want to enjoy the movie. So we are totally out.
I'm already of the mindset that I'm going to go see it on the 16th and just be tired Friday.
Oh, I think I am.
It may be worth it, because nowadays you used to do a midnight showing. They were actual midnight showings. It was a 12 a.m. start time.
Now it's a 7 p.m.
Yeah, I remember we went to go see when The Dark Knight Rises was coming out. They did a marathon leading up to it where they did Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises, and like brief intermissions in between.
We did that with Harry Potter.
So nowadays you can go see it at 7 o'clock.
Like regular people.
Yeah.
Not cosplaying super freaks.
Well, most places you're not even allowed to dress up anymore.
Yeah.
Like, that was a big thing after the Aurora shooting, unfortunately.
Oh, was that from the Dark Knight? Yeah, I know.
Yeah, big shame on that one. But so going back to last week's episode, we had a lot of fun talking about the Sinister Six and kind of the rotating roster and what makes a good supervillain team and why teams are such a big part of movies, especially now in the Marvel universe where crossovers are the biggest thing. In Spider-Man No Way Home, you're going to have Doctor Strange and Spider-Man teaming up and then fighting each other and then teaming up again probably. So we wanted to do something a little bit more fun, especially in the tradition of it is Thanksgiving, a time of bringing people together and
for shawarma.
For shawarma. And we really wanted to do something where we talk about more of a topical type thing where you have a lot to choose from, and we didn't in any way pick something specific team-wise to go with.
Okay, so let's see. I'm sorry, I didn't know that was my cue. All right, so now Ronnie and Paul really don't have any idea of where I'm going to go with this. So here's the first thing. Before we start naming teams, let's set down some ground rules.
The New York Jets.
Damn it.
Sports.
He wins. Oh, wait. We're talking about the Jets. No, they didn't win.
No. Wow. Even Rob knows that.
I know nothing about football, but I know how much. I watched Saturday Night Live in Seth Meyers, and I know how much they rag on the Jets. So
I'm going to get an angry text message from Sean.
No, he'll agree.
So here are the rules. First, before we start naming teams, I want to establish what makes up a good superhero fighting team. Like, what are the characters? What are the individuals? What are the skill sets you need to have? So let's start off with how big should a super team usually be, do you think? Ronnie.
Well, I guess technically a duo is not a team.
Okay.
Right? So, I guess...
I will come back to duos, so don't worry.
Okay. So, I feel like anywhere from 3 to 6 or so would be a good sized team. I'm trying to think of the Justice League, the Avengers,
but also then think about the X-Men.
Well,
is that too big for you?
Well, I wouldn't consider the X-Men a team, though. That's the thing.
There are other factors with the X-Men to consider.
Okay,
like to me, I'm like you can have the X-Men could be like a overall team, but then you have subsets of that team that create smaller teams. So I think anywhere from the 3 to 6, maybe 7 range.
Do you concur?
I would say three can be a team, like a trio, though. Mm-hmm. But for me, anything a team from a superhero team in comics is for me, it's not just a one-time thing. Like there are a lot of comics like the Brave and the Bold, where it's a constant rotation of those kind of superhero team ups, or Superman, Batman have done a lot. Hawkeye and Green Arrow. No, excuse me.
Green
Lantern and Green Arrow were a really big duo for a while. For me, a team is it's a group, I would say 4 or more, just to annoy Ronnie, where and it's something that they're consistently doing, and they also have a name.
Okay, all right. So a name of like X-Force or something like
Titans or this or whatever. Okay. So for me, like when I think superhero teams, I think groups. I don't think 2, 3. Like I think a much.
Okay. All right.
A bigger
So right now the rule we have is around 4 to 6, but not too big, not necessarily too small either. Okay. Here's your next question.
Are we talking about teams?
What are you talking about? It's too early in the morning for that. MF Uncensored.
Yeah, we'll say that for that one.
Okay, I'll throw this one to Paul then. Does everyone on the team need to have superpowers?
No.
Okay. Is it a requirement that someone on the team not have superpowers?
No. Every team member has to have a specific reason, though, for being on the team.
Okay, so everyone needs to bring something to the table.
They have to bring something to the table. Like on The Flash. We just did our character study on The Flash where we talked about, the TV show. Team Flash, they did a whole season with a Wells that had no abilities. That he made it seem like he did, but he eventually he brought, like, heart to the table. But, like, come on. A team for me, everybody has to be there for a reason. There was a big thing in the comics where they had like a team mascot. Like Rick Jones was a big team mascot, and they were just kind of there. And they were like the gee Willikers guys. I can't believe you did this again and you saved the world. Like the hype man almost. So for me, if you're gonna have a team, the people on the team have to bring something specific and something unique to the team.
Yes.
And that's why, like, you have a team, like a less traditional team, like the Bat Family, where the Bat Family, they're all very similar, but they all bring something different to the table.
All right. Ronnie?
I'd have to agree with Paul. You don't need to have superpowers or anything, but you need to be able to bring something that no one else on the team has or is their strong suit. For instance, you brought up the Flash. Like, you could bring up, Arrow with Felicity. No superpowers, but she was, the brains of the operation almost.
All right. So it sounds almost like there should be maybe one person on the team that doesn't have to necessarily have superpowers, but can have something else. Because I think if you give them all superpowers, then there's no room for like brains or
when everyone's
I could disagree with that.
Right.
No one is.
I could disagree with that.
Go ahead, Ronnie.
Fantastic Four.
Okay, that's true. They all
that's
have.
Fair.
All right,
they all have superpowers, and you still have the brains.
Works.
And technically, the X-Men.
Richards.
All right, good point. All right, so we're saying that everyone should bring something to the table.
Yes.
Okay. Does everyone need to have an equality in their skills, Ronnie? Like, what I'm saying is, could there be a powerhouse and then someone else who's not quite as strong? Like, should everyone be equal?
No, I think having a powerhouse is good because you need some extra muscle in there. Not necessarily physical muscle and everything, depending on the situation, but everyone has their strong suit, and it depends on what villain you're facing. One person will outshine the other person. Based off of who they're fighting. All
right, yeah, because what I'm thinking is, like, for example, on the Justice League, you've got, the strongest one on there is obviously Superman.
Obviously.
And no one else even comes close to that.
Disagree.
Is that well, no, I mean in terms of, like, strengths and powers.
I disagree.
Who do you think comes close?
Shazam.
Martian
Manhunter.
Okay.
Yeah, they've gone toe-to-toe with Superman.
All right, so do you think then that everyone should be equal, or it's okay to have a fluctuation?
I think it's like I said before, everybody should bring something unique to the table. It's not even just bringing something to the table, something that counterbalances other members of the team. Like, Batman may not be the strongest, but he is one of the better tacticians. He can, if I'm going to face somebody like the Riddler, who has plans, just punching him in the face is not always the most effective way to stop the Riddler. Because now suddenly it's like, I also have this closed circuit bomb that requires, X, Y, and Z, and Superman's like, do I punch it?
Right. Oh, sort of like in The Dark Knight when he's punching the Joker and he's like, you have nothing you can threaten me with because, I've created this situation where you're going to have to murder somebody as a result of your choices.
So I think having different characters with different roles is a very important aspect to any team. It's like we can't all be quarterbacks, sports. You can't all be pitchers, more sports. So
or MF Uncensored.
I don't know, pitchers. I could also be I'm going to make drinks after this.
We are?
We could. You want to? I mean, you got nothing to do. But yeah, every character on a team should bring something different and something unique, and they should be able to complement each other.
All right, here's a loaded question for you. Should there be girls?
Yes. How was that a loaded question? Yes.
Because is it a requirement to have a girl?
I would say no. It's not a requirement to have a girl. But I'm not. But tell me I'm wrong. Why is it a requirement?
No, it just went quiet there for a second.
It looked like people were going to argue with me for a second.
I think we all just answered yes. Like there's no requirements. It's whoever's best suited for the job.
Okay, all right. How about from a... Okay, so hold on then. Because one of the things that I wanted to ask what is the goal of creating the perfect super team? And it seems to me now we're going into the effectiveness.
The goal of creating a superhero team was to sell comics.
Right. Well, that's what I'm getting at. Is that if it's to sell comics, then it isn't required to have a girl on the team.
At the time, it was just to sell comics. And every superhero team had a female on it.
Right. And that's what I'm getting at, is if you are designing the perfect superhero team, is it, what's the goal for designing it? Is it to, to effectively accomplish whatever task that or bad person that team needs to overcome? Or is it to market themselves in a, are we going to go meta? So what do you think?
Well, I mean, because now we're going into two different things.
Right.
That's the thing. If we're looking at to sell, if we're looking at the business aspect of it,
real life versus in comic book reasons.
Yeah.
Right. So in comic book reasons, I think we're all saying it's not a requirement to have a girl, but it's just nice to have them around because they smell good.
It's a comic book. I can't smell them.
If you are looking from a marketing perspective,
if you're looking from a marketing perspective, I think in today's society, yes, you need. Yes.
Thanks, producer Melanie.
You need to have. Actually, you know what? No.
Oh.
You don't need to have. Sorry, Melanie. You do not need to have a female in there.
Okay.
I think
why is that?
in today's society, you need somebody who is. I'm trying to think of the nice way to say this, but
without sounding like a raging sexist.
Yes. No. But you need somebody who is out of the quote unquote normal.
So you're saying someone who's who's non-toxic masculinity,
basically, right? Okay. Whether it's a female, whether it's somebody who's LGBTQ.
Okay, well, and that ties into my next question. Actually, is how important is there to be a multicultural aspect to it? Let's say from a marketing perspective.
I think it's the same exact thing.
Right. That's what I'm getting at.
In today's society, you need to have someone on the team from some different culture, ethnicity, something like background, basically.
I think it was kind of refreshing to see the Eternals and to see such a wide variety of individuals from sort of all over, which was kind of neat.
Especially after they shoehorned in the entire A-Force in the one shot in Avengers Endgame.
What was that?
When all the female lead characters were all
they were a team name? I didn't know that.
Yeah, A-Force. That is a team of all female superheroes.
Okay, I thought that was just a girl empowerment moment.
That was the A-Force shot.
Okay.
So where do we draw the line though between we're being inclusive and we're being,
pandering,
woke? I was gonna go with, as opposed to we're just doing this to sell.
Okay, so there needs to be a fine line determined between...
Unfortunately, it's not even that there needs to be a fine line. It's because that's just the way the world views everything nowadays. And take Supergirl for example. They have a trans actor on there. A trans actress, excuse me. And she's great on it. I have no problem with it.
I haven't watched Supergirl in a while.
She plays Dreamer, Nia Null, and she's a trans actress who, and that is part of her character. That is a trans character. For no reason. They changed the character itself.
So in the comic book, character's not trans?
As far as I know, Dreamer's not actually trans. So where do we draw the line? And unfortunately, talking about superhero team-ups, I'd rather talk about the comic book aspect of it. Because in all honesty, superhero team-ups were created just to sell comics.
Okay.
Avengers were created because comic book sales were dipping. And the Justice Society had done really well for DC Comics. And then the Justice League had done just as well. Brave and the Bold was a huge title. DC was doing team-ups way early on.
Oh, yeah.
And Marvel wanted to get on the bandwagon. They had a lot of success with stories like the Fantastic Four, which introduced a family dynamic into superhero team-ups. And then you had the X-Men, who were obviously have exploded in popularity.
Yeah.
So for me, I'd rather like look at the comic book reasons for it as opposed, because unfortunately the business side is just pure depression.
Yeah.
Because it is always about the bottom line. If you guys want to know a little bit more about that, watch The Boys. Season 2 of The Boys, they do a great story arc with Queen Maeve, that's her character's name, where when she gets outed by Homelander, they turn it into a business ploy. Yeah. And it is interesting to watch.
It's very depressing to watch season 2 of The Boys. I mean, I'm not telling you not to. In fact, I would encourage you to watch it because it's a fantastic show. But season 2 of The Boys is depressing because it shows just how corporately controlled the entire business is of like everything. So let's then focus less on the marketing part, because I think we can all agree that yes, it needs to. If you want to be, sell comics and sell theater tickets, you need to be inclusive. So here's my next question then. How important is it on a superhero team to have, quote unquote, the comic relief?
Every superhero team needs the comic relief.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's not even that the comic relief is there also as the audience surrogate, because there is a such thing as too serious. Like, as much as I will defend Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice, the humor in it is very shoehorned in.
Yeah. We had to make the humor.
Like when Batman drops the line.
I was laughing for all the wrong reasons in that movie.
Well, like even when Batman drops the line, I thought she was with you. Like, no, you did. You met her 45 minutes ago. Yeah. Like you knew she. So like things like that, I think.
So Martha does not count as comic relief?
No. Martha counts as great screenwriting, and you're just a poor audience member. But no, for me. Especially Batman vs. Superman or something like that, making Batman funny has always been a bad idea. Can he throw out a sarcastic, dry humor wit sometimes? Absolutely. But then you watch the Joss Whedon version of Justice League, and he gets up, something's definitely bleeding, or I don't not like you. Like, just like painful.
I think the only time that Batman can be funny is if he's being overly seriously ironic. Hence, Brave and the Bold cartoon, where he is like so serious that it's like hysterical.
Or in Justice League or Justice League Unlimited, he plays off the comedic relief better.
Yeah.
Like,
all right. So you need to have Ronnie. You agree? There should be a character, a comic relief character.
Ronnie 100%. Is the comedic. That's Ronnie. That's what he does on the show.
And then my last big question is: how important is it for the entire superhero team to be from this planet?
Not important at all.
Okay, so
I'm trying to think of a team that is.
So here's my reverse question: is how important is it to include an alien?
Not at all.
Not at all.
No. It's not something I ever think about. You look at Fantastic Four, X-Men. There are plenty of the Defenders. Okay. There are all plenty of non-alien team members, non-superpowered team members. And I don't think that at any point do I have to be like, well, where's the alien?
Okay.
Yeah. Or look at a group like Watchmen, who has one superpowered individual in their second iteration. So like they had just pure street level crime fighters.
Okay. So
I don't think adding in these fantastical elements are not necessary.
Then here's the question: does putting an alien member into a team make it look cooler?
It depends on the shot.
It depends on the alien.
So what are the cool aliens that should be?
Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, that's the first one.
Martian Manhunter is always a good one.
Superman's
the classic, the easy one to go with. Okay. Most Green Lanterns. I mean, Green Lantern Corps is the most inclusive superhero organization, because that's not even a superhero team. I would argue that's a superhero organization.
Yeah,
I think that's like a higher level that we don't see very often.
That's kind of like the X-Men. The X-Men is like an organization.
Because the X-Men also has a lot of different facets to it. It's not just the pure like field team. It's also an educational program. It's a school. It's like this. So I think superhero dynamics are more fun when there's more to them. Yeah. Okay. Right? So here's an example. In Smallville, they introduced the Justice Society of America. I think the first superhero team in existence. I'll have to fact check that.
I mean, in the DC world, yes.
I think in general.
Because
I can't think of a Marvel team that beats it. But off the top of my head.
Right.
So if you guys you can find us on Facebook or on our new Contact Us page on the misfitfashion.com. But they introduced the Justice Society in Smallville, and Stargirl is in their like the pseudo Justice League's base, and she's like looking around. She's like, "Where's like the pictures? Where's the couches? Like, you guys don't hang out with each other. Like we used to have like Thanksgiving with each other. Like it was a big thing." And for me, like superhero teams, they've become way more layered in more recent years. It used to be just like we teamed up, beat the bad guy, and we left.
So the Justice Society of America is the first team of superheroes to gather on the comic book page in history.
Very good. God, JSA.
Yep.
I don't know why my wife married me sometimes. Wow.
All right, so it's from what I've gathered from you guys, a superhero team should be 4 to 6 people. Everyone should bring something to the table. There is okay to have a fluctuation in powers.
Alphas.
Doesn't have to have an alien, but it's cool if it is. Definitely needs to have a comic relief. And doesn't necessarily have to have a girl or a multicultural element to it unless you're trying to sell the comics. But it's not something that shouldn't be shoehorned in.
I will argue also that in that vein, it can have a fluctuating membership. It is not something where you are in it and you're in it and that's
and
it.
These are the 6 people that are always going to be in it. Could people get kicked
obviously
out?
the Justice League, you think Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman first and foremost, and then there's a rotation of characters. X-Men 2, it's a very big rotating list of who's who in the X-Men. But I have no problem with the fluctuating list.
So new members are allowed.
Yeah.
Can old members be voted out?
Yes.
Yeah.
How are old members eliminated? Like what's the process?
Violation of the rules established by the individual team.
Okay, and what is that? Democratic?
Typically.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So now what I'm going to do is, now that we've established kind of the rules, I want to know who the members should be. So I'm going to give you 3 different types of people, and you can only pick one out of these 3 as the most important. Okay.
Ronnie.
So
I was just gonna say me.
Yeah.
And these are our archetypes. Archetypes meaning, like the typical person,
Character
the
types.
typical character. All right. A really strong guy or girl. A long-range attacker, like, someone who can do things from a distance.
Like Hawkeye.
Mm-hmm. Or a telepath. If you had to pick one, which would you pick? Strength, long-range, telepathy. Ronnie. Now, that doesn't mean you have to eliminate the other 2. You're just saying which is the most important one here.
You want to go first? You got this.
I mean, I'm trying to think of the characters that go with those.
I can give you some if you need them.
I mean, I would probably say telepathy.
Okay, so you're looking at people like Martian Manhunter,
Yep.
Professor X, Jean Grey, Emma Frost.
Yep.
Okay, so a lot of Marvel people. All right, so you think telepath? Why is telepath?
Well, I mean, think about it. You can control other people because, again, depending on who you have, like, for instance, you got to create something that could defeat that person, while the telepath could just easily be like, I'm going to control your mind and be like, don't fight me.
All right, all right. Paul?
The strength, the powerhouse.
Powerhouse, why?
Most telepaths have some sort of rule. Most good guy telepaths have some sort of rule about how invasive they get into somebody's mind. Whether it's mind control, whether it's even just reading minds. There are plenty of telepaths that don't even like reading other people's minds. I think having that powerhouse, that person that can... Most of your threats you're going to deal with require some sort of physical force. Bombs, terrorists, bullets, etc. That's not to devalue any of those other members of the team, but you always put the person who's going to take the bullets should probably go first.
Okay. Rebuttal?
All right. So you brought up bomb, right? If I could get inside the Joker's mind, I don't know why you would want to do that, right?
I feel like I'd get lost.
Or like the Riddler or somebody that's planting these bombs and everything. You get inside their head and figure out where the bomb is.
Mm-hmm.
Quicker than, well, maybe not quicker because then you got like the Flash, but that wasn't one of the characters on there. So
nope, not yet. That's next round.
Yeah. So I think with the telepath is, yes, you have some that are like, well, I really don't want to, but like me personally, I know if I was a telepath, I would get into your mind, like to save people.
Thank God Ronnie doesn't have X-ray vision.
I would get into your mind and figure out where that bomb is, what's your plan, and everything like that, and even be like, oh, you want to detonate that bomb? Let me go inside your head and tell you not to.
I'll let you answer that, and then I'll move on.
I'm not downplaying the role of any of those other character types, but when I think superhero team, like if I think the X-Men, I don't think Professor X first, which is terrible because they're named after him.
Yeah.
Even like the characters like the Fantastic Four, where intelligence is their strongest suit, they're going to throw their punches first.
Yeah.
Just for me, when I think superhero team, I think who is jumping into the line of fire, who is like, there's very few superheroes that work purely behind the scenes. Like telepaths typically work behind the scenes. Long range, you're not going to see them. They're snipers, they're assassins, stuff like that. So for me, when I think superhero team, out of those three archetypes, I always think of, your Superman, your Captain America, who even though he's a tactician, he's going to throw his punches first.
Yeah. Okay. All right, next round, and we'll go to you first. Here are your three. Speedster. A wild card person, someone who your enemies may not be prepared for, someone like a one-of-a-kind ability, like Vision or Plastic Man, or Street Fighter, someone who can get down and dirty when they need to. Now, if I might remind you, Street Fighter includes someone like Batman.
No, I'm with you. Unfortunately, I've already stacked my team with a super-powered buff dude, but
I'm like trying to think of who else. But
I like Street Fighters because they will get down and dirty and do the dirty work when necessary. Speedsters are great, but there are plenty of superhero teams that don't rely on one. But most superhero teams have that character that isn't afraid to do what's needed to be done, and also it always creates a fun back and forth between the leader of the team or the stereotypical, like the Superman, the whoever it is. Because you can think of any superhero team, and you can always think of who. There's the Batman, there's the Punisher, there's in that team, Black Noir from The Boys, all those characters that they do what's needed to get done. So I'll go with Street Fighter.
All right, Ronnie. Again, it's Speedster, Street Fighter, or Wild Card.
Well, when I think of Wild Card and what you described, I'm thinking like Wolverine. I'm thinking Deadpool. Kind of like along those lines. So that would be mine because. For instance, you could choose either one. They got basically regeneration. They could really never die, right? Or even, I guess you could throw in that category as well. I'm kind of thinking like Bruce Banner / the Hulk, as well. So I would say a wild card because I have the telepathic person. Now a wild card. Say you throw in Deadpool who can do long range, can do street fighting, basically can't die essentially, almost. I think that would be my choice.
All right, something against his wild card?
No, I think the Street Fighter and the wild card are very similar veins.
Okay.
The wild card just tends to be that unpredictable. For me, when I think wild card, I always think it's the one that they can't control. Like a character like the Hulk or Young Justice did a great arc with Arsenal where he was very unpredictable, or like your Red Hoods, characters like that where it's not necessarily that they're going to go bad, but it's just that they're going to be the ones that don't do what's always conducive.
Actually on my list of wild cards I have like the Atom, which is again sort of fits that vein.
Yeah, a unique ability.
But someone where you can't really trust him. Other people on there, I've got the Wasp, Banshee, Medusa, Vision, Scarlet Witch.
I would argue Venom is a wild card.
All right, and then my last three here, unless you had something to add.
No.
Okay, I figured. So this is to you now. Would you rather have the leader, the leader being someone who leads troops into the battle, someone who inspires and can corral sort of all of these wild egos that are running about, the brainiac, someone who can, kind of science the crap out of things in any given situation, or the money, someone who's providing for the team and actually, buying the uniforms and the cool tech. So leader, brainiac, or money?
That's a tough one. I'm gonna go with the leader. Okay. I think every team needs guidance. It needs leadership. Without that, you fall apart and you can't be a team. So when you describe leader, in my head, I'm thinking Captain America.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm like if I had my team of Martian Manhunter, Deadpool, Captain America, or I'm trying, like, even to me, even like Wonder Woman could fall underneath that category as a leader as well, So
I guess anyone that's not a lone wolf, like Superman, I don't know if he's a leader because sometimes
I don't think he could be a leader.
Like
Superman is the figurehead. Yeah. He is the one that they put in front of the cameras,
but he's not a leader.
There's always been an argument over who really leads the Justice League, whether it's Superman or Batman, or Wonder Woman to a degree.
I would almost argue Wonder Woman does.
I think Wonder Woman's the voice of reason.
Yeah. And that's why
Batman's the tactical brass knuckles. Like this is how we, or brass tactics, excuse me. Like this is how we get things done. And Superman's like the moral compass of it.
Yeah.
So Yeah.
All right, so you would go for...
I'm going for the leader.
The leader, okay. Paul?
The money one's the easy one because obviously you think about like your Tony Starks, your Bruce Waynes,
Right.
but there are plenty of superhero teams that don't have any financial backing, and they do it based on their own nitty gritty and just kind of like look at a character like Spider-Man who in the comics it's always a running point like how poor Peter Parker actually is, and he still does the hero thing and he's sewing his own costumes and stuff like that. The Brainiac is a great character type, but unfortunately the Brainiac's also the one that in comics traditionally is I do it myself, and then it usually backfires in some regards. I'm going to agree with Ronnie. I think that you need somebody that's going to take charge and put everybody in the right direction. And also the best leaders are the ones that know I can't do this and I need to outsource this to somebody who can.
Yes.
Captain America is a great example. Even you look at Tony Stark, like in Age of Ultron, he's the first one to be like, no, Cap's the leader. I just pay for everything, make everybody look cool.
Yeah.
So I think every team needs that figurehead, that person that leads them into battle. So for me, it's going to be the leader also.
So I wrote down your answers. So to recap, Paul, you've got the strongman, the street fighter, and the leader, or the Justice League. So that actually tracks for you.
To a point.
So, all right, that works. Now you've got telepath, the wild card, and the leader.
I'm all over the place.
So now here's my question, and this is where it comes full circle. Who do you feel is one of the best teams? And we'll see how well this matches up to that.
That's a tough one. I mean, if we're talking about
Whatever team Deadpool's on.
no, if we're talking historically, Justice League,
Okay.
is historically the best team ups, if not one of the best.
Yeah.
Currently, I mean, just because it's a little bit more popular, you have the Avengers.
Okay.
Now,
having said those two things, I have written down here as a rule. You're not allowed to use the Avengers or the Justice League.
Okay, that's fine.
Because I think most of us would agree those are the two most perfect teams. I think that's inarguable.
I mean,
I'll give you a minute. Go ahead.
Without those, I mean, the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Ooh,
get out of here!
I've got that written down. Actually, I love that
deep cut.
Ooh.
I mean, you could go with them. I'm trying to think. Teen Titans.
Okay.
I mean, it's essentially
They have that. I have all those dynamics.
Yeah.
Okay. So what makes those two teams so awesome and effective?
I think their ability to work together and get stuff done.
Okay.
Eclectic.
And be able to rely on each other. I think with some teams, the wild card, like for instance, Fantastic Four. I think it's another great team up to have. Could even be top 5,
right.
Of all time. But I think it's just when you have essentially a mini Justice League, that's basically what the Teen Titans is.
Yeah.
It's a mini Justice League. So
right.
A young Justice League?
Dare I say?
Copyright that quick. All right.
Yeah, right.
This
Thanks.
episode already got blocked. Why? That's so weird.
Paul, favorite team that is not Avengers or Justice League? And I'm going to even put in another rule for you, no JSA.
I was going to say it too, just to annoy you. Growing up, it was always the X-Men. I was a big X-Men fan growing up, and I would also say the Fantastic Four. Those two team-ups, don't get me wrong, the Justice League and the Justice Society, they're great comic book series, and they're great. They were also a product of their times, where it's very like, good job, old chum, and then we never talked to each other again. The X-Men and the Fantastic Four really brought in a family dynamic that teams were lacking at the time, and I think that makes them very unique. As like that was their big thing. They were a group of superheroes that were dealing with normal people problems. Yeah. So especially Fantastic Four, which as a kid I didn't enjoy the Fantastic Four. I don't know why. It wasn't for me. I really liked X-Men, but now as an adult, I really enjoy the Fantastic Four, and I hope they get their
I hope they get
due.
that. I have a theory about X-Men as to its popularity, and I'm not really going out on much of a limb here, but because you've got so many characters who are so insecure about who they are and that their abilities make them different and weird and not special, that resonates with teenagers, because isn't that really the teenage experience completely summed up right there? Which
Actually, I do have my favorite superhero team.
Okay.
The Power Rangers.
Nice.
Actually,
I knew you were going to say Power Rangers.
Well, if this is the thing, then I will take mine back.
Okay.
The Ninja Turtles.
Oh, very good.
That is a
I
solid
actually
one.
have Ninja Turtles on my list too. Excellent. Yes. Why Ninja Turtles?
Just pure nostalgia, and I think the fact that, look at what we talked about. You have the brainiac, you have the tactician, you have the wild card in Mikey, you have the level-headed one as well, and then you could even throw in, Casey Jones into the mix as well if you wanted to. I think, and obviously just growing up with it, like I love the Ninja Turtles more than I loved the superhero stuff.
Oh yeah,
growing up, I'm a big Mikey guy. I'm sure.
What? See, now I was just a little too old for the Ninja Turtles. I missed it by like 3 years. What was your in on the Ninja Turtles? Was it the cartoon, the comics, the movies?
It was the cartoon, not really the comics, but the cartoon for sure, and then the movies. To this day, I think that it's one of the greatest comic book movies of all time.
I love it too. I don't disagree. I don't know if Secret of the Ooze quite tracks for me, but the first
pure
one,
nostalgia, it does. Pure nostalgia. Yeah. Also, the most interesting thing about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise is how different the comics and the other source materials are, and how different the second movie is because of parent outrage.
Yes. And also the arcade game.
So the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie was based off the comics, where it was violent, it was gritty. People died in that. Yeah. Like Casey Jones crushes Shredder in a dump truck.
Yep,
that's like dark.
I remember that. Yes.
It's about thieves.
But he lives, doesn't he?
He does in the second one. But then it was at the same time the cartoon was coming out, so parents brought their kids thinking that it was going to be like the cartoon. Yeah. And it wasn't. So that's why the second movie is exceptionally censored. This was also the same time that Spider-Man the Animated Series, he wasn't allowed to throw punches, no guns, no nothing. Power Rangers was under a lot of scrutiny for how violent it was. South Park was just getting big, where they killed Kenny every episode.
Oh my God.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, they don't use their weapons at all. There is one time where Donatello uses his bow once.
It's just a lot of pushing people out of the way.
It is a lot of, like, Leo has 2 swords, but he picks up 2 Kali sticks, and he's using those instead. Yeah. They're trapped in the net, and he has swords in his back.
Yep.
Like, you have swords, get out. Very interesting. That could be a whole other episode, the Ninja Turtles.
So I got a couple of my superhero teams here, and mine aren't necessarily most effective either. Doom Patrol.
I was going to mention Doom Patrol.
Yeah, I love them because they're so dysfunctional. And if you're going to go with that, I will also go with Umbrella Academy.
That's a good one.
And I have Defenders. I love that. Not the Defenders, like the Netflix Defenders, but because I think that was a wasted potential there. But like, I love the idea of a street level team up. And then I also have the Watchmen on mine too.
Not the movie ones.
I actually like them.
I know you know.
Real quick before we wrap up, team ups, like where you've got like 2 people. Favorite team ups?
Duos?
Yeah, dynamic duos. I'll give you a couple of mine unless you've got some ready to go.
Easy one for me.
Go ahead.
It's going to be Batman and Superman.
Of course.
They always have such a great. Just to see that night and day contrast is always a lot of fun. Also, Daredevil and Spider-Man.
I have that on my list.
Daredevil and Spider-Man.
Kick-Ass and Hit Girl.
I have that on my list too.
Solid.
Yeah, very good.
I would say Team Green, Green Lantern and Green Arrow.
Yep.
That's a good one. I would say Batman and Nightwing.
Yeah.
They bring a much, like, is obviously Batman and Robin is the iconic duo, but I think Batman and Nightwing just bring a lot of gravitas when they work together.
I have one that hasn't been done yet really in the movies, but is in the comics. Hal Jordan and Barry Allen.
Yes.
I think that could be a lot of fun if we ever did that as a film.
Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy.
Yay, that's my top one.
That's a good one.
Let's see. Obviously, Bucky and Steve.
Yep.
And then, of course, since I mentioned Defenders, Luke Cage and Iron Fist, the
Heroes
for Hire team up.
Cable and Deadpool.
Yeah, that's another great one.
Deadpool and Spider-Man. Venom Spider-Man.
All right, so Spider-Man's got a very...
Spider-Man has quite a few people he's teamed up with. Wolverine.
What makes these team-ups so great for you?
Obviously, the Deadpool one's just... because I love Deadpool.
Of course.
Do you? I never knew that. But also...
I think he likes something about Jack Skellington, too.
Yeah, right?
Oh my God, it's Deadpool Jack Skellington movie. I think Ronnie's brain would implode.
I will make that movie. No, I think it's just... With the dynamic duos, I think it's the ability to play off of each other and to also have well, this is your weakness, but this is my strength.
They complement each
other.
other.
And they complement each other beautifully. You know, like, for instance, the last one I said, Deadpool and Spider-Man. You know, they're like complements of each other. You know, you got the innocent kid with the, you know, the potty mouth. You know? And
Paul, what makes these team-ups essential? What makes a good team-up for you?
That they're just fun.
Yeah.
That they're fun and they have some sort of reason behind them.
Yeah.
It has to be like, it's not just for selling the comics. Unfortunately, it is just for selling the comics. But I always think that having different characters interact, especially when they're almost polar opposites, is always a fun dynamic to explore.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap us up for the week. And so don't forget, you can interact with us on a... Ronnie, how can they interact with us? See if he can do it.
You can find us on Facebook, the Multiverse Fan Cast, as well as the Misfit Faction. You can find us on Instagram, the Misfit Faction. We have our YouTube channel, the Misfit Faction Media Network, Twitter as well. You can also take us on the go with Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, any other listening station devices you use. And obviously the big one is our website, themisfitfaction.com, where you can get episodes of our shows as well as cinematic adventures and soon to be MF Uncensored. You can also find Rob's articles on there and reach out to us to possibly get on the show and get interviewed by us, or maybe you have a show and you want to interview us on your show.
Very cool. So thank you very much for listening to the Multiverse Fancast. As always, I'm Rob.
And I'm Paul.
I'm Ronnie.
And we'll be back
in a flash.
In a flash?
Smorgasbord.
You just wanted to say your thing. Jeez.